Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for part 2. Let's get right back to it. You'll handle my stuff, I told him. I've decided to take a day to save my marriage. He nodded slowly. When you get home tomorrow night, you'll tell Sarah I'm getting back into studying. Need more time for it. He blinked, processing. Every 2 weeks, you'll cover my workouts. I saw the flicker of annoyance in his eyes. Yeah, it'll mess with the training continuity, but we'll figure it out. Then I leaned in, making sure my voice was low and steady. You'll explain to Sarah that I'm taking over your work while you focus on yours. Succession planning, right? In case something unexpected happens. Vacation, accident, whatever. I let the threat hang in the air. He pondered, chewing his lip. You really think this is gonna work? I think so. I met his gaze hard. We just have to trust each other. He shifted uncomfortably. You don't want Sarah to find out about our arrangements directly, right? Right. Of course not. I poured myself another glass of wine, the kind that cost more than some people's rent. I looked at him, waiting. So, he finally cracked a smile. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Could work. We just gotta sell it to Sarah. But something in his smile didn't sit right with me. Don't forget, I said, my voice losing any trace of warmth. If this plan leaks, it's gonna be unpleasant for everyone. We both like our jobs. I paused, letting that sink in. But that won't stop me if I'm pushed. I leveled my gaze at him. Then, I continued, each word deliberate. You'll write a letter to Sarah. Tell her everything. Your little campaign to win Kate over, using company resources, the whole pathetic show. I watched his face tighten. And I'll add my 2 cents. Explain why I decided not to expose you to public humiliation. Sarah's an old friend, David. We go way back. And you were supposed to be a friend too. Nobody wants to see anyone get hurt more than they have to, so I'm counting on your loyalty. I tapped the table, emphasizing the point. That letter stays with me. Back up. Just then, Kate walked back in. She moved a little slower, but the steel in her eyes was still there. She'd changed clothes. Better, she said, sinking into the chair next to me. Felt like I was suffocating in that other outfit. Threw out all the unnecessary baggage. She glanced at David, a sharp edge in her voice. And David, I wouldn't advise Sarah to go digging in your baggage either. Might find some surprises. A ghost of a smile played on her lips. Looks like I lost a pair of panties. David's smile had vanished. He looked like he'd swallowed something bitter. All right, I continued, turning back to him. Ed, from now on, you stop playing games. You're loyal to Sarah. Because if I see you pulling any more of your crap, I won't even bother with this whole letter thing. I'll just tell Sarah everything you've done. David shook his head, disbelief etched on his face. I'm not writing any letter, but I'll do the rest. Giving up control, I could see, wasn't easy for him. I picked up my phone. Too late, David. I already recorded everything. And this letter? Consider it automatically sent to Sarah if you screw up. David threw his hands up. Enough. I'll handle it myself. In court. That letter wouldn't mean anything. It shouldn't even exist. Whatever's in it should stay between you and Sarah. I leaned across the table, a bitter laugh escaping me. Sure, David. Mr. Influencer just gonna drop everything and write a letter. Easy peasy. I gestured towards Kate. She just has to save her marriage. Kate took my hand, her gaze locking with mine. Do we have a chance, really? She squeezed my hand, searching my eyes. When I came here, hell on earth didn't even exist for me. But after hearing both of you and learning what this cunning guy has done, she shot a look at David, who was now pointedly staring at the floor. It feels like hell just moved in. But I still gotta know. How did you even deceive me with him? She tilted her head, a genuine question in her eyes. I pointed at David, who finally stood up and walked away, disappearing out of sight. I was just thinking about that while I was changing, Kate continued, her voice softer now, turning back to me. And I think I figured it out. Revenge, excitement, and lack of attention, especially in bed, which, let's face it, has been down to 4 days a week lately. She sighed. I've been thinking about it too, but my thoughts are still tangled. My head's a mess. No clear order. She took a deep breath, then looked at me, her eyes clear and direct. First of all, I am sincerely sorry. I apologize for the betrayal, for the pain I've caused you. And I'm sorry we're even here right now. Even though David deceived me too, I take my share of the blame. Forgive me, honey. She paused. Then her voice dropped, becoming even more intimate. But there's something I have to tell you, and you might not like it. You're not to blame for any of this. You haven't done anything wrong. Let's start with revenge. She leaned closer. When I saw you with that cute secretary heading into your office late at night, I thought, maybe there's something going on. While I was away, David, that snake, he hinted at it, showed me a photo, asked what you two could be plotting. Now I see it. It was a trap. He was planting seeds of doubt. She shook her head, a sad smile playing on her lips. Fabricated. I was about to ask why she hadn't just talked to me, why she'd jumped to conclusions, but she anticipated me. Leaning in, she kissed me, softly, silencing my question. Allow me to finish, please, honey, she murmured, pulling back slightly. Next thing I need to explain. Why I didn't come to you immediately when I found out I was drugged, blackmailed. I was thinking about our jobs, about college for the kids. Not an excuse, just something I should have done but didn't. And I regret it. That was my mistake. She looked away, a shadow crossing her face. Then she continued, her voice barely a whisper. I've been experiencing a lack of sex. After menopause, I've been so irritable. I know it's not an excuse, but it's all I have. And there was excitement, especially doing it in that hotel where I thought you'd betrayed me. Now that I know that's not true, I feel terrible. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with pain. I don't need your sympathy. I brought this on myself. My naivety, my foolishness, gifts, tension, none of it matters. I never used anything he brought me, or anything we did together, against you. She lowered her gaze again. We never did anything that wasn't for you. In fact, it was just regular sex, nothing special. She took another sip of wine, her hand trembling slightly. Forgive me for all the words, honey. I've been thinking about how I can atone for my guilt, whether we can overcome this. My love for you is sincere. Can you forgive me? She looked at me, pleading in her eyes. I know forgetting will be hard, but I'm ready to do anything to help you forget. I'm ready for anything. She leaned forward, her voice husky. Can we go up to your room so I can begin to make amends? Listening to her, I knew deep down I had already forgiven her. But she was right. Forgetting, that was a different story. Yes, I said, my voice rough with emotion. We can go up to my room, but it's just a conversation, and I'll let you know when I'm ready. A faint smile touched her lips. Oh, honey, she breathed, relief flooding her face. Our conversation has dragged on for too long now. 3 weeks had passed. Kate and I walked into the office a little late, thanks to a particularly stubborn alarm clock. Our colleagues were gathered around someone's laptop. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Some looked stunned, others were chuckling nervously. As soon as we walked in, dead silence fell. Embarrassed expressions flickered across faces. What's going on? I asked, breaking the silence. The tension in the room was practically vibrating. Why's everyone so on edge? Jack, one of the senior team members, leaned forward, his face pale. Well, we found something on YouTube. Looks like your conversation with David at the restaurant. It's pretty serious. Kate's voice wavered. There's more? Jack nodded grimly. This is just part 1. There are 4 videos, and we haven't even finished watching this one. Kate's face drained of color. Maybe it's better if we don't watch the rest. She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room. We can't tell you what to do, but I'd be mortified if you found out what happened, and why David's only here once every 2 weeks. She took a shaky breath. Please, don't tell Sarah about this. Don't tell Sarah what? A voice, cold and sharp, cut through the silence. Kate and I spun around. Oh my God, we both gasped in unison. Sarah stood behind us, her expression unreadable, a mask of icy calm. Without a word, she strode forward, snatched the laptop and opened it. The video's title was bold, unavoidable. Husband catches wife with lover in restaurant. And there, on the thumbnail, clear as day, was David. And upon closer inspection, me. Sarah exhaled sharply. Her gaze, like ice picks, pierced through both Kate and me. Both of you, she said, her voice low and dangerous. In my office. Now. She turned and walked away, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. Kate and I followed in silence, the weight of impending doom pressing down on us. As we passed my desk, I grabbed a few things, my heart pounding in my chest. I'd been bracing for this moment, but I never expected it to come like this. Sheila's office was freezing. Her anger was a palpable thing, hanging heavy in the air. I promised Kate I wouldn't tell you about this, she began, her voice tight with suppressed fury. But who sent the link to Jack? Her eyes narrowed, fixing on me. Before I could answer, Kate stepped forward, her voice barely a whisper. I'm sorry, Sarah. I ruined everything. She lowered her gaze, guilt radiating off her in waves. I was with David. Sarah leaned back in her chair, shaking her head slowly, disbelief warring with rage in her eyes. This is terrible. I never thought you'd do something like this. Her gaze snapped to mine. Jack, did you know about this? I thought we were friends. Why didn't you tell me? I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts, to find the right words in the face of her raw pain. "Sarah," I said, my voice low and sincere, "I deeply regret this. But David deceived Kate. He manipulated her. He found out about her menopause, her increased libido." I saw Sarah's eyes widen slightly, a flicker of understanding in their icy depths. "Then he planted the idea that I was having an affair. He deliberately made sure she spent 3 nights a week at work, exhausting her, so our relationship suffered. Then he got her hooked on drugs, took compromising photos, and blackmailed her. All of this happened during the driving simulator event, the one you missed because you were sick." Sarah's face darkened, her lips pressed into a thin line. I placed a letter from David, a flash drive, and a voice recorder on her desk. Kate sat down beside me, her hand reaching out to touch Sarah's arm, a silent gesture of apology and support. "We didn't tell you," I admitted, my voice heavy, "because we didn't know what to do. Should we reveal the truth and break your marriage, or keep it hidden, believing you were happy? Kate wanted to tell you, but I assumed you wouldn't want to know. We thought this was an isolated incident. I warned David, told him if he did it again, I'd expose everything. Here's the proof." I gestured to the items on her desk. Sarah sat frozen, staring at the evidence, the weight of the truth suffocating her. Finally, she exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. I need time to process this. Leave, please." We exited quietly, leaving her alone with the wreckage of her world. Kate stayed behind for another 30 minutes. When she came back, she was carrying a steaming cup of coffee. She knocked hesitantly on Sarah's door. No response. Cautiously, she peeked inside. Sarah was slumped at her desk, tears streaming down her face. Kate stepped inside and gently closed the door behind her. A pit formed in my stomach. I paced outside Sarah's office, anxiety gnawing at me. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I hurried back to the door, ready to burst in, only to find Kate embracing a sobbing Sarah. Kate waved me over, her eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and relief. We both held Sarah as she trembled in our arms, the dam finally breaking. After a few minutes, Sarah straightened up, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "Thank you," she said, her voice still shaky. "I needed that." She looked down at the untouched items on her desk, a sigh escaping her lips. "I just went through everything you left me. Now, I need even more time to think. Please, leave again." As we turned to go, she added, her voice softer, almost hesitant. "Kate, thank you for the coffee. I'll need another cup in 20 minutes. There was something in her tone, a hint of forgiveness, or at least a softening of her initial rage. The rest of the day passed in a strained silence. Then suddenly, the office door burst open. David stormed in, heading straight for me, his face contorted with fury. I barely had time to react, raising my hands in surrender. "I didn't tell her," he spat, his voice dripping with venom. "Blame Mr. Influencer and YouTube." He veered off course, storming towards Sarah's office and slamming the door behind him. The room held its breath. 10 seconds later, a loud bang reverberated through the thin walls, followed by Sarah's voice filled with raw fury. You're a liar, a manipulative scoundrel. You humiliated me among our friends, among our colleagues. You're fired. You can't fire me for this, David protested, his voice rising in panic. No, Sarah shot back, her voice laced with ice. I'm firing you for embezzlement. But I love you, he pleaded, desperation clinging to his voice. It was just a joke. It didn't mean anything. Sarah's voice rose to a new level of anger, shaking with barely controlled rage. You jeopardized our marriage, your job, and our friend's marriage for your pathetic pleasures, and Kate! Do you even realize? Another bang echoed from the office, louder this time. And that's for Kate, because she's too kind to do it herself. The shouting died down, replaced by low murmurs of conversation, mostly one-sided. 30 minutes later, Sarah emerged from her office, David trailing behind her, utterly subdued. She crossed her arms, her gaze sweeping across the room, settling on each of us in turn. You all know what happened. Changes are coming. David is fired. A collective gasp rippled through the room. But, Sarah continued, her voice firm but controlled, since we can't afford to lose too many instructors, I've rehired him. At base pay. If he doesn't like it, he can leave. He knows that if he does, he'll lose the family home. Her gaze landed on David, who stared at the floor in defeated silence. Jack, you assume his responsibilities. Accept territorial assignments. For now. Kate, David will now report to you daily. You will track his location and ensure he comes home every night. If you suspect anything, report to me immediately. All hotel contracts are cancelled. He will pay back every stolen cent to the company. Until then, he covers all his expenses, understood? David gave a weak nod, his former arrogance completely shattered. As for me, I resisted the urge for physical revenge. I had too much at stake. Kate, meanwhile, seemed determined to make amends, to rebuild what had been broken. And I didn't object. As for the future, only time would tell. Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments, and we'll see you in the next video.